Welcome to Bethel Online Education Hub. Learn anytime, anywhere. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe for more. Let's learn together, the Bethel way.
Good day, everyone. Today, we begin an exciting journey into one of the most fascinating concepts in biology, the evolution. Have you ever wondered why there are so many different kinds of plants, animals, and even humans on Earth? Or how living things from of years ago are connected to the life forms we see today. Evolution provides the answer. It is the process that explains how simple organisms in the distant past gradually gave rise to the more complex forms of life, and how species change and adapt to survive in their environment. This process, which happens over vast period of, is driven by genetic variation and natural selection. The idea that the best adapted individuals are more likely to survive and reproduce. Through evolution, we uncover the story of life itself, a story of change, adaptation, and survival that continues to shape the diversity of life on our planet today. Now, let's talk about the process of evolution. Evolution is the gradual process by which different kinds of living organisms are believed to be developed and diversified from earlier simpler form through Earth history. It explains the immense diversity of life we see today, from microscopic bacteria to the complex plants and animals, including humans. Now, let's talk about the steps in the process of evolution. Evolution generally occurs through the two fundamental steps. The first is the hereditary variation. Within every population of organisms, there is a variation. This means that not all individuals are exactly alike. Some may be taller, faster, more resistant to disease, or better adapted to their surroundings. This variation arises because of genetic differences, which can came from mutation or changes in DNA, genetic recombination during reproduction, and other processes. Importantly, many of these variations are heritable, meaning they can be passed on from parents to offspring through genes. Next is the natural selections of variants. Not all individuals survive and reproduce equally well. Some traits make certain individuals better suit to their environment. For example, a rabbit with fur color that blends into surroundings might escape predators more easily. Those individuals with favorable traits are more likely to survive, reproduce, and pass on their advantageous genes to the next generation. Over many generations, this process of differential survival and reproduction leads to the population gradually changing. The frequency of beneficial traits increases, while less advantageous traits may disappear. Through these two steps, variation and selection, new species can eventually arise. One, old ones may go extinct, and life continues to diversify. This explains both the unity and diversity of life on Earth. Variation provides the raw materials for evolution, and natural selection determines which variations are most successful. Over long period of times, this leads to the evolution of new forms of life. Okay, let's have an examples. Let's think about dogs. From wolves to man's best friend. Starting point. Wolves are once wild predators, but some began trailing ancient hunters-gatherers for scraps. Among wolves, some were naturally less aggressive, while others were more hostile. Humans tolerate and even fed and friendlier ones. Those wolves survive better and reproduce, passing on their tame traits. Over generation, wolves gradually evolved into dogs, developing traits humans found useful, like loyalty, playfulness, and diverse size or breeds. This is an example of artificial selection combined with natural selection. Now let's talk about the evolution of horses. Over millions of years, horses have changed dramatically from their small forest-dwelling ancestors into the large grassland grazing animals we know today. These changes happen through natural selection as horses adapt to new environment and survival challenge. Key adaptation in horse evolution. The first is increase their body size. They become larger, which help them cover larger distance, more efficient to find food and escape predator. Early horses like Hyracotherium were small and lived in dense forests. As grassland replaced forests, being larger gave horses advantage. They could run faster to escape predators. They could travel longer distance in search of food and water. Development of single strong hoof. They develop a single strong hoof that provide better support and speed on open grassland. Early horses had multiple toes, which worked well on a soft forest floors. On the other hand, open plains, extra toes were unnecessary and slowed them down. Over time, the side toes disappear, leaving one strong hoof on each foot. This hook acts like a spring, providing better speed, balance, and endurance for running across grassland. Last is the evolution of high crowned teeth. They develop high crowned grazing teeth, suitable for grinding tough grasses. Forest horse eat soft leaves, which require little chewing effort. As diet, shift to tough grass, filled with silica and grit. Teeth wore down quickly. Natural selection favored horse with high-crowned, durable teeth, perfect for grinding grasses. This allowed them to survive on grassland where grass was the main food source. Now let's go to the historical development of evolutionary thought, a fascinating journey of ideas that shape how we understand life, and it changed over time. Long before modern science, people are already wondered where living things came from and why they changed. From ancient philosophers who believed in fixed and changing life forms to great thinkers like Charles Darwin, who introduced the theory of natural selection. The story of evolution is also the story of human curiosity and discovery. By studying this history, we see how scientific knowledge is built step by step through question, observation, and debates. It happens, it helps us appreciate how our current understanding of evolution is not just one person's idea, but the results of centuries of exploration and critical thinking. Now let's proceed with Carl Linnaeus, known as Carl von Linné, often called the father of taxonomy. Carl create a formal system of classifying and naming organisms, which is still used today. His system called binomial nomenclature give each species a two-part Latin name. The genus name is capitalized and the species name in a lowercase form. Examples: Homo sapiens, which is the humans. While Linnaeus believed species were pigs, his classification system laid the groundwork for future evolutionary study. Next, we have Jean-Baptiste Lamarck. He proposed one of the earliest theory of evolution. He introduced two main ideas: the use and disuse. Body parts that are used often become stronger and more developed, while unused part weaken and may disappear. Next is inheritance and inheritance of acquired traits. Characteristic acquired during an organism's lifetime could be passed on to its offspring through later proven incorrect. Lamarck's theory was important because he was among the first to suggest that species change over time. Now let's talk about Thomas Malthus, an economist famous for the Malthusian theory of population growth. He argued that human population grow faster than food supplies, leading to struggle, competition, famine, and survival challenges. His idea influenced Darwin, who realized that in nature, individuals compete for limited sources, leading to survival of the fittest. Now, let's talk about Charles Darwin. Charles, Charles Darwin, known as the father of evolution. He developed the theory of evolution by natural selection. He published his famous book on the origin of the species in 1859, which explained how organisms evolved. Organisms produce more offspring that can survive. There is variation among individuals, and individuals with traits best suited to environment survive and reproduce. Over generation, population change leading to the formation of new species. Charles Darwin emphasized that the role of adaptation in evolution. And lastly, let's talk about Alfred Russel Wallace, a naturalist who independently developed the theory of natural selection around the same time as Darwin. He observed wildlife in Amazon and Malay archipelago. He concluded that species evolved because the fittest individuals survive and reproduce, passing on their traits. He worked, his work pushes Darwin to publish his own theory. Today, Darwin and Wallace are both credited for the idea of natural selection. And now let's talk about the mechanism of evolution. Evolution happens because the genetic makeup of a population change over time. These changes are caused by several mechanisms. The first is the genetic drift. Random changes in allele frequencies in a population, especially in small population. Examples: if a storm wipes out most of the small rabbit population by chance, the surviving rabbit's traits will dominate the next generation. Next is the migration or the gene flow. Movement of individuals from one population to another. Examples: pollen carried by the wind to the new era, or animals moving into a new herd, introducing new genetic traits. The third is the mutation. Random changes in DNA sequence that create new alleles. Example: a mutation in a flower's DNA make its petals red instead of white. If this attracts more pollinators, the mutation can spread. Number 4 is the non-random mating. When individuals choose mates based on their traits rather than mating randomly. Example: female peacocks prefer males with bigger, brighter tails feather. Those traits become more common. Number 5 is the natural selection, the process where individuals with traits better suit to their environment survive and reproduce more successfully. Examples: giraffe with longer neck survive better because they can reach more food, passing the trait to offspring. Survival of the fittest is adaptive evolution. Mutation creates new variation. Gene flow introduces variation. Genetic drift randomly change variation. Random mating emphasizes certain traits. And natural selection favor traits that improve survival and reproduction. Now let's explore the two important ideas in the history of biology: the Lamarckian theory and the Darwinian theory of evolution. Both theories strive to explain how living things change over time, but they differ in their explanations. Lamarckian theory, or inheritance of acquired traits, proposed by Jean-Baptiste Lamarck. Organisms change during their lifetime in response to the environment, and these acquired traits are passed on their offspring. Example is the giraffe. Early giraffe had short necks. To reach leaves in high trees, they stretch their necks. Over time, their necks become larger. These longer necks were passed on to the offspring. Modern genetics shows that traits acquired in lifetime are not inherited. Darwinian theory of natural selections, proposed by Charles Darwin. Variation already exists in population and individuals, with favorable traits survive and reproduce, passing on those traits. Examples: early giraffes had variations. Some had longer necks, some have shorter. In times of scarce food, giraffe with longer neck could reach more leaves and survive better. This long-necked giraffe reproduced more, passing on the traits. Over generation, the population evolved to have mostly long necks. Support strength is support by genes and fossils and modern evolutionary biology. Comparing macroevolution and microevolution. Macroevolution, a large-scale evolutionary changes that occur over very long period of times. Aspect entire species or larger group often lead on the origin of the new species or major transformation. Examples: evolutions of whales from land-dwelling mammals, evolutions of bird from theropod dinosaurs, evolutions of color vision in howler monkeys, giving them trichromatic vision like humans. Microevolutions, small-scale evolutionary changes within a population, usually involving a few genes. It occurs over a shorter time periods and alters early frequencies in population. Examples: development of antibiotic resistance in bacteria, change in coloration of peppered moths during the Industrial Revolution. Last is the insect developing resistance to pesticides. Now let's talk about fossils. Fossils are preserved remains, impressions or traces of ancient organisms that lived in the past. They provide scientists with direct evidence of life history on Earth and how species have changed over times. Now let's proceed how fossils forms. Fossils forms in different types. We have the body parts, trace fossils, and soft-bodied fossils. Hard body parts, structures like bones, teeth, shells, and woods are more likely to fossilize because they resist decay. Over time, minerals may replace this part, creating petrified fossils. Next is the traces fossils, not actual body parts, but evidence of activity. Examples: footprints, burrows, feeding marks, and even fossilized droppings. It show how organisms behave and interact with their environment. The last is the soft body fossils. Rare because of soft tissues like skin or organs usually decompose quickly. Sometimes preserved in amber, a hardened tree resins, or ice or fine grained sediments. It provides valuable insight into ancient species, we would not otherwise know about. The importance of fossils. Fossils reveal what organisms look like in the past. It shows evolutionary changes over time. It also helps reconstruct ancient ecosystem and climate. And it also provides evidence for the theories or evolution and extinctions. Fossils are nature's historical records. They form from the hard body parts, traces of activity, or rarely soft tissues, and they allow us to understand the story of life on Earth. So now before we end our learning journey, I will give you a short quotes about attributes by Charles Darwin. It is not the strongest of the species that survive, not the most intelligent that survive. It is the one that is the most adaptable to change. These famous quotes often attribute to Charles Darwin, and its beautified captures the essence of this his theory of evolution. Darwin emphasized the survivals. It's not about strength or intelligence alone. The real key to survive is adaptability, the ability of an organism to adjust when the environment changes. In nature, environment constantly shift due to climates, predators, food supplies, or natural disasters. Species that can adapt their behavior, diet, habitat, or physical traits are more likely to survive and reproduce. As Darwin reminded us, survival does not depend on being the strongest or the smartest, but on being adaptable to change. This truth applies not only on species in nature, but also to us as individuals in our everyday lives. So, as we move forward in our study on Earth and Life Science, let's carry these lessons. Life's greatest strength, it is the ability to adapt. Evolution continues and we are living proof of its power. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the button bell so you won't miss our next lesson.